Happy Manifesting Monday to my soul siblings and my wonderful friends. It's an honor to be connecting with you today, this lovely, lovely Monday. And yes, it is also my birthday, and I'm so excited to be spending it with you, a part of our day together. I'm feeling very, very, very blessed. So I just had lunch with a bunch of friends. Hi, Michelle. And it was such a lovely day. It was 3 other girls' birthday, and my friend Cindy Larson put together an adventure for us to have a lovely lunch, and it was just exquisite. It was just a beautiful, beautiful day with a lot of laughter, a lot of fun, a lot of gifts, a lot of blessings. And I was thinking to myself how different my life is now than it used to be. And I want to share with you some of the tools that have supported me in going from a life of feeling really lonely and very sad, very depressed, in fact, clinically depressed, to a life of great joy. Thank you, Otero. Thank you. Happy, happy birthday. Received graciously. Thank you. Hi, Kathy. So years ago, I was really struggling in relationships. I had a challenge paying my bills. Life was really uncomfortable. And I sat down to have a conversation with God. And I said, why is it so hard? Why is it so challenging to be here? Why is it I can't figure out what I'm supposed to be doing? And how can, thank you, honey. It is a beautiful birthday. Thank you, my precious friend, Kathy. Why am I feeling so challenged? And why is it so hard for me to manifest money, good friends, a life that I enjoy? And I heard something really profound. God said, you can't even receive the kindness of friends. You can't allow a friend to pick up a check for lunch without fighting and saying, you're going to do it. You don't receive graciously a compliment. And I had to think about that. And it was true. And it occurred to me, I'm far more comfortable giving than receiving. I want to be the one that's picking up the check for lunch. I want to be the one that is doing kind things and giving gifts. But what I've come to understand, Tonda, what are you doing here? What I've come to understand is it's like breathing. We need to be able to inhale and exhale. If we can give but not receive, it's like exhaling all the time. And then we wonder why we're exhausted. What I found also is if we're more comfortable giving than receiving, we're going to end up manifesting friends or people in our lives that take but do not give. And that was certainly the case for me. Even though I was dating somebody that was extremely successful, very wealthy, and even though I had friends that did well, I ended up with less coming out of that relationship financially than I went going into that relationship. Friends would steal from me. Friends would sleep with my boyfriend. And I struggled intensely in so many ways. And you know what? It wasn't their fault. It was not their fault. It was, if there was fault to be had, I love you too, sweet thing. It was just that I was out of balance. It wasn't that I was at fault necessarily. It's just that I, again, was more comfortable giving than receiving. I was out of balance. So what my I guess homework assignment became was to learn to receive graciously. And it was harder than you might think. What I got clearly was that I had to accept and receive graciously every kindness that showed up. Anytime anybody offered anything, I had to receive graciously. So this meant like going to the grocery store. If somebody offered to carry out my groceries, I had to say, why, yes, thank you. That's so kind. And what I got was the next time somebody offered to buy me coffee or lunch or take me out to dinner and the check came and they said, let me get this, I had to say, well, thank you. That's so very kind and generous of you. It was extremely uncomfortable. And I would start to get a little twitchy and I would start to almost have a panic attack. What I also understood was I needed to ground myself, be very present, and open my heart to receive graciously and authentically, to connect with the heart of that person that was doing something kind for me, be it opening a door, be it giving me a compliment. Yes, Kathy, I'm receiving your hugs and love now. And you know what happens is we learn to receive the small things more graciously. We start to expand and be able to receive the bigger things more graciously. So now when I think about that young girl that had that conversation with God, when he said, you don't receive the small kindnesses, how do you expect to receive the riches of the universe? As I have learned to receive the small kindnesses, they have expanded into large kindnesses, many gifts, many compliments, many blessings. And my inner container to be able to receive continues to grow. And today I would say I do receive the riches of the universe in a really gracious way. And it continues to expand. And it has become, the question becomes, how good can you stand it to get? And at this point in my life, I can certainly stand it to get pretty good. And a toast that I often have when I'm having a cocktail or a glass of sparkling water with a friend, I like to say, to the best things have ever been and the best still being yet to come. Because although things are better than they've ever been, I don't want to put a lid on it. I want to continue to expand in my ability to receive and to give. It's sort of like, I think we have an inner container. Maybe I've talked about this before. And a lot of people are walking around with a thimble inside of themselves. And they may be jealous of the one that has a swimming pool. But if we can expand our inner container to be able to receive the kindness, the goodness of the universe, of friends, it expands, and then it can become a cup, and then a pint, and then a quart, and then a gallon, and then eventually a swimming pool, and then a pond, a lake, and the ocean. At this point, my inner container is extremely large. I can't even see the edges or the perimeter any longer. And what I find is that as I can receive graciously from my human friends and my soul siblings, my family, and just the kindness of strangers, I feel it has put me into this gracious receptivity with that something greater. And I really believe everything we want comes from our connection to that something greater. But so often we get distracted by Maya or illusion of the world. And we think we need to get something from out there, from other people. We need to get the job. We need to get the love. We need to get whatever it is. And getting is very, very different than receiving. But as we learn to receive, it seems what we want starts to show up with a lot more grace and God winks and joy and just gracious receptivity, synchronicity. It really is a beautiful way to live. And again, I've been like a spiritual scientist as I've really listened to the wisdom within and taken the advice I've received and put it into practice in my life. And I'm finding it works very well. And it doesn't necessarily happen all at once. I mean, this message I heard from Spirit years ago was probably about 20 years ago. So I've been working on this for a while. And I think you can do it as well. You could possibly commit to yourself and say, you know what? I'm going to try this gracious receptivity thing. And set your intention in the morning to receive all kindness that comes to you with an open heart, being very present. And say you're standing in line at the grocery store and somebody gives you a compliment. What are you going to say? I might suggest saying, why, that's so kind of you. I really appreciate that. And then if you want, you can offer something kind back. It's hard for me not to do that because I do like to receive and I do like to give at this point. So another thing I consider, a lot of times people aren't noticing, hi Anna, the beauty and the gifts in their lives because it doesn't look the way they want it to look. So we need to be very, very grateful for what we have and how things look and the blessings we have. We need to be able to acknowledge that. And as we do, as we exercise that gratitude muscle, more and more starts to show up. Another point I want to make is often when we are generous, and I think it is important to give generously and receive graciously, perhaps you're giving generously to someone, but they're not the one that's giving back to you. We can't be attached to where the goodness and kindness and blessings and gifts come from. So we give generously and we may expect to get something back, but try not to do that. Don't give with that expectation. But then you may find as you pull your energy back and reconnect with your soul self and source, kindness from another direction might show up. I find this happens all the time. Every day is a surprise. Every day is filled with blessings and gifts. It's almost like every day is my birthday. Every day is Christmas. And I think we can all get to this place by virtue of softening our hearts, opening our hearts, looking for the goodness and acknowledging the grace and the beauty and the bounty and the blessings. And that is what's going to expand that inner container. So you're just a magnet to attract more and more and more. We manifest what we can hold for. And if we're holding in a place of open, gracious receptivity, and that container expands, more and more goodness can continue to show up and flow into you, into your life. And then you'll have more to give. So it is a beautiful, again, it's like breathing, receiving graciously, giving generously. And yes, Kathy, celebrating ourselves every day. You know, it's hard to attract people who love and adore us if we don't love and adore ourselves. And love isn't something you should have to try to get or work for. You shouldn't have to prove and do. Pull your energy back, relax, align with that something greater, listen to the wisdom within. Hi, Raleen, I love you. I don't know how to say that, but it's beautiful. She's speaking Hawaiian to me. We'll be there next month. Another analogy that showed up in my mind's eye as I was considering receiving graciously was like, imagine, if you will, two children at Christmas. And one child is opening their gifts and they're just tearing through them and saying, well, that's not exactly what I wanted. And they're not present. They're not receiving graciously. They're in a place of a little bit of entitlement and maybe some greed. And then there's another child who is taking their time, opening their gifts, being very present with their presence and thanking the one that is gifting them with their gifts. And they are so gracious and they are so grateful and they're so lovely and kind in the way they're receiving their gifts. Now, who do you think will end up receiving more gifts? And I think God feels that way about us. If we're gracious and we're grateful and we're receptive and we're present and we're kind and we're loving, it's like, it's infinite. It's infinite what can show up in our lives. It's really a beautiful, beautiful blessing. So when I really thought about why I was challenged in receiving, again, it partly was because I like to be the one that's doing the giving. And when I looked deeper into that, why was that? And it came down to me not necessarily feeling worthy. I didn't feel worthy of receiving. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want anybody wasting their money on me. I want to be the one that's paying for and taking care of. So it made me actually feel very vulnerable to receive. It made me feel a little bit exposed or raw, uncomfortable, unworthy. So it does take a certain amount of willingness to be vulnerable, to be raw, in order to be truly gracious, to be present, to be seen. Last year, I had a couple of, I think I had 2 or 3 birthday parties. It was 3. And the first one I did very well receiving. There was like 40 or 50 people there. Everybody gave me gifts. I put on my tiara. I had a good time. I opened the gifts. I was very present. And somebody said, you really handled that very well. And I think I did. But then the second party happened. And then the third party happened. My friend Cindy Larson, who also put together our birthday party today for our September birthday girls, she hosted another party for me after these other 2 parties last year, and I started twitching. It was too much. I realized I'd hit my upper limits. My container was now overflowing in a way that was really uncomfortable. I felt embarrassed. I understand, Kathy. I think it's true for a lot of people. It's easier for a lot of people to give rather than receive. And so this would be a great exercise for you to be able to receive graciously from strangers, from friends, and from even nature, you know, looking at the hummingbirds or the flowers and taking the beauty of this world very personally, saying, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. You know, I think it was, I mentioned this recently. Mother Teresa had said if there was one prayer and it was of gratitude, it would be enough. And the Bible says, pray without ceasing. And for me, my most consistent prayer is thank you. When I don't know what to say, I say thank you. And I think that does naturally. You're a September too. Yes, you're a Virgo. Yay, Kathy. Yay, yes. Hi, Kristen. It is a happy birthday. The sun is shining. I feel like I'm glowing from the inside out from all the love that has been bestowed upon me today. And it feels so good when we can really exercise that gracious receptivity muscle. When we can really receive the beauty of the planet, receive the bounty of nature, spend time in nature and really look for the majesty of this world and take it personally. Who was this created for if not for you? There is none of us as human beings that is more important or more special than anyone else. All of God's children are special and none of God's children are special because we're all the same stuff. We're all recycled stardust. You're a star. I hope you know that. Years ago, I didn't, and I struggled. As I have continued to expand in my, first it was a thought. As I opened my mind to the possibility, it was a thought. And then it started to become more of a belief. Another really, really helpful exercise is to look at yourself in the mirror and say the things that you wished you would hear from others, be it your mother, your father, your lover, your friends. What is it you want to hear the most? And say those things to you. Look in your eyes and say what it is you long to hear. I had a client of mine do this last week. It was so sweet. She was really uncomfortable with it. I went into the bathroom with her and I supported her with this. And she was like kind of turning red and shaking. She goes, this is very uncomfortable. This is really weird. I said, if you can't receive from you, it's going to be hard for you to receive from anyone else. So she's practiced this. And today she goes, you know what? It's starting to work. I'm hearing these things from my husband, which she had longed for. I'm starting to receive some really beautiful compliments. And often the same thing that I'm saying to myself in the mirror, I'm hearing from friends and others. And she goes, I'm really starting to believe it. And I said, what is it that you say to yourself? She said, that I'm pretty, that I'm good, that I'm proud of myself, and that I'm worthy of love and great things. And I thought it was so exciting. I was so happy to hear that she was starting to believe those things about herself. And they're true for you. You are beautiful. You are exquisite. You are worthy. You are lovely. God is proud of you. I'm proud of you. And I'm very, very, very excited to be spending part of our day together. Thank you, Brent. That's so sweet. I keep saying this is the best birthday yet. And it keeps being true. This really has been an exquisite birthday. And I feel incredibly, incredibly blessed. And I know there was no way I could get to where I am now if I hadn't opened my mind and my heart to these simple practices and continued to practice them. You know, last week somebody goes, you're a little repetitive with some of the things you say. And I say, I think once we boil this all down, living this life of truth and love, it is simple and it can be repetitive. One of my friends said to me, it was my spiritual teacher, Ron and Mary Holnick. They said, all of our pain comes from our perceived disconnection from God. And I wasn't sure I believed that. I'd been in a lot of pain for a lot of different reasons. And so that didn't really resonate for me. But as I continued to explore that, every time I struggled and suffered, I would check in with myself. Do I feel connected to God right now? And the answer was always no. So it has become very, very, very simple for me. If I'm in pain, I connect with God. And it's also got to the point when I'm not in pain, I connect with God. I say, when my life doesn't work, meditate. When my life does work, meditate. Because when things are good and you're continuing to expand in your relationship with something greater and you're continuing to meditate, things are going to get even better. This is a really beautiful way of continuing to expand that inner container. And I think sometimes we stop because we can't handle it. getting much better. We start to get shaky and we start to get uncomfortable. We start to feel unworthy. But it's never true. You are worthy. And so I hope you can receive this. And Colleen, thank you. Oh, and this is my honor, pleasure, and privilege. I may have shared this story with you, but years ago when I was in so much pain and I was having that conversation with God, he said, if you can have the courage and dig deep, figure out a way to heal, and I'll hold your hand through the process. One day you'll be able to guide others on the path from hurt to hope, from pain to empowerment, from poverty into prosperity. And so now I feel like, again, I have gotten to that higher ground. Thank you, Penny, so much. It is a happy, happy birthday, and I'm so grateful you're here with me. Life has just continued to become more beautiful and more blessed. And now that I am on this higher ground, again, I want to help whoever's ready for this to get to higher ground. And there's some simple practices, simple tools that if you're consistent and you're diligent and you're disciplined, your life will get better. It's really that simple and that difficult. Definitely gratitude and gracious receptivity has been a big part of it. And I think I talked about this last week or the week before. We have to get rid of the toxic energy to make space for that really glorious, pristine, magical energy. The toxic energy is anger, it is sadness, grief is a very challenging emotion, but one that we need to allow, not to lock in the closet. Guilt and shame are two other really heavy emotions that bog us down and prevent us from expanding and graciously receiving the bounty and the beauty and the gifts that the universe has for you. So if you need any support with any of those things, hi, Pamela, happy birthday, September girl. I wish you were here with us. We had such a beautiful birthday celebration. So I have some guided meditations on my website, the forgiveness one, the clearing shame, self-compassion, a really, really important one, because I think after we forgive others, we really have to come back and be willing to forgive ourselves for settling for less than we knew we deserved, for not listening to our intuition or whatever those judgments are. We need to be able to receive love and compassion and bring that to the places inside that hurt. That is the healing balm that helps us clear up that inner heaviness, those toxic energies, so that we can travel with more light, more grace, more ease, more joy, make that space for beauty and bounty and blessings and gifts, because the universe does love you. Yes, you did make it. I love you, Elaine. So much fun to connect with you. This really is such a beautiful, beautiful day, such a beautiful birthday. But like I said, once we clear that environment, hi, Mommy. Thanks for giving birth to me. I'm so glad you said yes and let me come here and play and be human for a while. It was tough for a while, but I'm having such a great time now. Living above the cloud line and experiencing blue skies, grace, and gratitude. And I think so many people are struggling and they're suffering. They're living under the cloud line in gloom, in doom. It is a sad, heavy place on planet Earth. But as we clean up our inner environment, as we forgive others, as we clear our anger and we clear our guilt and our grief and our shame, we start to become cleaner inside, and we make that space for more blessings to show up in our lives, be it human and spiritual blessings. We attract angels seen and unseen. And as we do our inner healing work, we go through the cloud line, and we eventually get above the cloud line where we're experiencing more grace. Thanks, Mommy. It means so much to me. We experience more ease. We experience more God winks. We experience more love and kindness and gentleness and sweetness. And we see things so much more clearly. It's very clear to me now who's hurting. And I can show up in a way of compassion for them. But I'm also very cautious and conscientious about how close I let people. I'm more discerning with my boundaries, because we're all on a path, and some people are really hurting, and you can love them from a distance. But often when somebody's really hurting, the closer you let them, the more they're going to project on you. So it's a very interesting dynamic. So I used to think it was selfish to say no, but I also believe it's a self-honoring ability to be able to say no. It's a boundary, which is really about protecting my connection to God. And again, if we lose that, we suffer and we struggle. So the next time you're in pain, ask yourself, do I feel connected to God? Do I feel connected to the universe? And if the answer is no, figure out how you can take responsibility for lining up with that something greater. Again, for me, it's prayer and meditation. That's simple. If I'm hurting, I sit down and I meditate. God, I'm hurting. So my intention is to sit down and connect with you. It's like charging your cell phone. It's like it's uncharged. Plug it in. And I plug it in before it's completely discharged at this point. I want to keep my container full. And that is between me and God. It's not anybody else's responsibility. And then when we do this, we are in our loving. And we share from overflow, not deficit. We give generously. We receive graciously. And it's a really beautiful way to live. And I think everybody is capable of this. It's just a matter of saying yes, setting that intention, being willing to heal the hurts of your past, clearing that inner environment. And you can do this through also cleansing with foods and fasting, taking good care of your physical vehicle, taking care of your home. It's like if you want to manifest more, take care of what you've got, clean out the space, and more will naturally start to show up. Opportunities, experiences, people, gifts, blessings, God winks, and synchronicity. And it's how I like to live. And if it resonates for you, I will do what I can to support you in getting to this higher ground. Like I mentioned, I have a bunch of guided meditations on my website designed to support you in clearing and healing the subconscious mind. Once you do that, things will shift. If your subconscious mind is on board with something, it's inevitable that it will manifest. So I think it's such an important relationship to have. I also have my free ebook and guided meditation. And I've had people listen to that guided meditation. It's on page 16 if you go through the ebook. I've had certain clients listen to that for over a year, and they still get new and helpful, interesting information that shows up in their mind's eye, visually or auditorily, however you receive information. So if you want to start taking responsibility for clearing and healing, coming into a more loving relationship with your soul self and with source, and manifesting more blessings, get that guided meditation and listen to it. If you listen to it every day for 7 days, I know you'll experience God winks. If you listen to it for a month, they say it takes about 28 to 32 days to create a new habit. If you listen to that meditation for about a month, you will absolutely start to see shift in your outer life. When you clean up that inner environment, your outer life is guaranteed to shift. And I want to hear about it. If you do this, if you want to take that meditation challenge, I want to hear from you. And again, if there's anything I can do to support you, uplift you, help you, heal you, please let me know. I've got my books, Manifesting Love from the Inside Out. If you're struggling in relationship, Manifesting Prosperity from the Inside Out. If you're struggling to manifest your purpose and more abundance, those books can help you. And even if you're not struggling, they can help you go higher. And that's my intention. I know the best is yet to come. There's a lot of upside still on this planet, and in my inner container, in my ability to connect with you. I don't want to talk about that, Penny. How old do I look? I'm double nickels. You know, people, I think it's fun. I think it's fun to grow gracefully. And I look at some people that I really admire and respect. And I don't know who that is, but we're going to talk to them later. And I think it's good to find mentors and people that are living the example. And Penny is one of them. Jane Fonda is one of them. I love Maya Angelou. I love Barbara Marx Hubbard. I love Raquel Welch, Sophia Loren. There's a lot of people that are doing it beautifully. So I'm very present. And meditation. I thought you wanted to know which birthday it was. It's called The Introduction, but it really covers everything. And it's on page 16 if you download my free ebook. It's embedded in that, and it's called The Introduction, but it really hits a lot of different areas. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. All right. Again, am so grateful for your presence in my life. And I think I've talked far too long and taken up much too much of your time, but I'm feeling extremely grateful for your presence in my life. I'm extremely grateful for Facebook and being able to connect with you live. This is just a blessing, and I look forward to our Mondays together. And I'm extremely, extremely excited about connecting with you again next Monday. So if there's any particular subjects you'd like me to address, anything you want to talk about, I'm really open to that. You know, I want this to be like a connection and a conversation, even though I'm the only one that's talking here. It is really fun to see you pop up here and say, thank you, Penny, rock on, rock on home. I just love you people. I just can't believe how amazing my life is. I'm just so, so, so gracious and grateful and blessed. So I just want to thank every one of you that has taken some of your time to hang out with me today. And of course, I want to thank Spirit, and perhaps we'll just do a real quick prayer here right now. If you are open to this, just go ahead and imagine centering yourself within yourself. Maybe that is in your heart, wherever you sense the center of your beingness. For me, it's in the center of my heart. And just now, Spirit, Father, Mother, God, Lord of all creation, just now, I invite you into my heart, and I invite you to descend down over each and every one of my friends that are here with me today and listening to this, settling into their heart. And with each breath, imagine expanding this light that is inside of you, expanding your inner container to be able to graciously receive. And just now, God, we want to acknowledge you and thank you for the gifts and blessings in our lives. And perhaps even looking at the challenges as opportunities to grow and heal as spiritual beings having this human experience. And dear God, I'm requesting a special blessing and prayer for each one of my friends that can hear my voice right now, that they start to experience more God winks and synchronicity in their lives. May they start to manifest what it is their heart longs for with more joy, with more ease, in a more joyful and natural way. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for this opportunity to grow and learn and expand as spiritual beings. Thank you for loving us and breathing us and beating our hearts. Thank you for the blessings in our lives. Thank you for all of the blessings that are on their way to us now. We open our arms, our hearts, and our minds and our lives to graciously receive all that you have for us in grace, graciousness, and gratitude. And for this we say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. So just as a quick reminder, go to the mirror and say the things to that beautiful person that you see in the reflection. Say the things they want to hear. Pray more, meditate, listen to my guided meditation. Graciously receive, set the intention to graciously receive all the goodness, kindness, and God winks that come your way. And when they do, open your heart and say, thank you. That is so kind and generous of you. It's a really powerful manifesting tool that has supported me in manifesting my heaven on earth life. And I want that for you as well. You're my heart. You're my prayers. You're my meditations. You're my thoughts. You're my dreams. I love you. And I hope to connect with you again next Monday. Let me know how you're doing. Thank you, Devin. And just know that I adore you and appreciate you. My life is definitely more rich and more full and more fun because you're a part of it. So take good care of yourself, good, gentle, loving care of yourself. Onward and upward. Bye for now.